Hey guys, happy Friday. We made it almost through week 2 now. I am back to read the next part of Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library, and we are about to start with chapter 10. Now this is what I call a party, said Kyle's mother as she helped herself to a bacon-wrapped shrimp from a tray being carried by a waiter in a tuxedo. Kyle and his parents were in the crowded ballroom of the Parker House Hotel for the Lemoncello Library's gala grand opening reception. The Parker House was located right across the street from the old Gold Leaf Bank building and the cluster of office buildings, craft shops, clothing stores, and restaurants called Old Town. I'm going to see if I can find Akemi, Kyle said to his mom and dad. Give her our congratulations, said his mom. We're proud of her, too, added his dad. Kyle made his way through the glittering sea of dressed-up adults. Even though his parents had put on fancy clothes for the reception, Kyle was wearing something comfortable to go exploring in, as instructed by the lock-in guide he'd received on Wednesday. He packed a sleeping bag and a small suitcase with a change of clothes, toiletries, and, yes, as requested, an extra pair of underpants. Kyle saw Sierra Russell all alone in a corner near a clump of curtains. It didn't look like her mother had come to the party with her. Sierra, of course, had her nose buried in a book. Kyle shook his head. The girl was about to spend the night in a building filled with books, and she was skipping all the free food and pop so she could read? That was just nutty. Haley Daly, wearing a sparkly blouse, was posing for a wall of photographers who wanted to snap her picture. Her mother was at the party, too. While the cameras were focused on Haley's smile, Mrs. Daly wrapped up a couple of chicken kebabs in a napkin and slipped them inside her purse. Now Kyle saw Charles Chiltington. Poor guy must not have read the memo about comfortable clothes. He was still wearing his khakis and blazer, just like his dad. Kyle figured the Chiltington family must own like 300 pairs of pleated tan pants. Hey, Kyle, Akemi waved at him from near a fake shrub curled to look like a silly straw. Hey, said Kyle. Did you remember to bring your library card? Yep. Kyle pulled it out of his pocket. Huh, said Akemi. I got different books on the back of mine. One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish by Dr. Seuss, and 9 Stories by J.D. Salinger. I guess they're like baseball cards, said Kyle. They're all different. Hey, you guys, Miguel Fernandez, more excited than usual, which was saying something, pushed through the mob to join them. Did you try these puffy, cheesy things? Nah, said Kyle. I'm sticking to food I recognize. The puffy, cheesy things are called fromage tartlets, said Andrew Peckelman, coming over to join the group. Huh, said Kyle. Good to know. A waiter passed by with a tray loaded down with small boxes of Mr. Lemoncello's anagram cracker cookies. Oh, I love these, said Kyle, taking a box off the platter and opening it. The cookies are in the shape of letters. You have to see how many words you can spell. Cool, said Miguel, snugging a fistful of cookies out of Kyle's box. Tastes good, too. Yep, said Kyle, but the more you eat, the harder the game gets. Why? Asked Andrew Peckelman. Less letters, said Akemi, snatching 2 B's, a Q, and wolfing them down. Barbecue flavored. Kyle spread out the remaining cookies in his palm. U-N-F-E-H-A-V. He grinned as he deciphered an easy anagram. Have fun. Sweet. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Dr. Zinchenko, dressed in a bright red suit, strode to the center of the ballroom. May I have your attention, please? Mr. Lemoncello will be arriving shortly to say a few brief words. After that, I will escort the 12 essay contest winners across the street to the library. Therefore, children, might I suggest that you eat up? Food and drink are not permitted anywhere in the library except in the Book Nook Cafe, conveniently located on the first floor. Miguel grabbed a few more puffy, cheesy things. When she thought no one was looking, Mrs. Daly shoved a napkined bundle of bacon-wrapped shrimp in her purse. Akemi nibbled a couple of chocolate-dipped pretzel sticks. You gonna grab some more grub? She asked Kyle. No thanks. I only like food I can play with. One last thing, announced Dr. Zinchenko. We, of course, want our winners to have fun tonight. However, I must insist that each of you respect my #1 rule. Be gentle. With each other, and most especially the library's books and exhibits. Can you do that for me? Yes, shouted all the winners except Charles Chiltington. He said, indubitably. Good thing the library has dictionaries, muttered Akemi. Half the time, it's the only way to figure out what Chiltington is saying. Suddenly, all the adults in the ballroom started clapping. Mr. Lemoncello, looking like a beanpole wearing a tailcoat and a tiny birthday party fireman's hat, strode into the room through a side door. Thank you, he said, stretching the elastic band to raise his kid-sized hat and tipping it towards the crowd. You are too kind. When he let go of the hat, it snapped back with a sharp thwack. As Dr. Zinchenko informed you, I'd like to say a few brief words. Here they are. Short, memorandum, and underpants. And let us pause to remember the immortal words of Dr. Seuss. The more you read, the more things you will know. The more that you learn, the more places you will go. Children? Mr. Lemoncello flourished his arm towards the balloon doors. It's time to go across the street. Your amazingly spectacular new public library awaits. Chapter 11. Eager to see what was inside the new library, the 12 essay contest winners quickly gathered behind Dr. Zinchenko. This way, children, said the head librarian. Follow me. The crowd cheered as they marched out of the ballroom, all toting their sleeping bags and suitcases. There was more cheering, plus some hooting and hollering, when they reached the hotel lobby and went out the revolving doors into the street. The new public library, with its glistening gold dome, took up half a downtown block, its back butting up against an old-fashioned office tower. The building was a boxy fortress, 3 stories tall, with stately columns that acted like bookends, because the windowless walls had been painted to resemble a row of giant books lined up on a shelf. It's like a majestic Greek temple, gushed Miguel. And the world's biggest bookcase, added Sierra Russell, who had finally put away her paperback. Velvet ropes lined a path across Main Street that led to a red carpet leading up a flight of steps to the arched entryway and seriously steel, not to mention round, front door. Kyle had to smile when he saw what was tethered to the railings on either side of the steps. Balloons. A big bruiser, maybe 6'4", 250 pounds, in sunglasses and a black sports coat stood in front of the library's circular door, which had several large valve wheels like you'd see on a submarine hatch. The burly guard wore his hair in long, ropey dreadlocks. What's with that door? Asked Haley Daly, who, of course, had pushed her way to the front. It looks like it came from a bank vault or something. It is the door from the old Gold Leaf Bank's walk-in vault, said Dr. Zinchenko. It weighs 20 tons. Akemi turned around and whispered, My dad designed the support structure for that thing. Check out the hinges. Kyle nodded. He was impressed. Why a vault door? Asked Kayla Corson. Because, said Dr. Zinchenko, one sleepy Saturday, when Mr. Lemoncello was your age, he was working in the old public library over on Market Street. He was so lost in his thoughts, he did not hear the sirens as police cars raced past the library to the bank, where a burglar alarm had just been activated. This door serves as a reminder to us all. Our thoughts are safe when they are inside a library. Not even a bank robbery can disturb them. Miguel was nodding like crazy. He could relate. It also helps us keep our most valuable treasures secure. There aren't any windows, observed Andrew Peckelman. Probably to stop bank robbers from busting in. But shouldn't you people have added windows when you turned it into a library? A library doesn't need windows, Andrew. We have books, which are windows into worlds we never even dreamed possible. An open book is an open mind, added Charles Chiltington. That's what I always say. Dr. Zinchenko pulled out a bright red note card. Before we enter, please listen very carefully. Your library cards are the keys to everything you will need, she read. The library staff is here to help you find whatever it is you are looking for. She smiled slightly, tucked the card back into her pocket, turned to the security guard, and said, Clarence, will you do the honors? With pleasure, Dr. Z. Clarence turned one giant wheel, spun another, and cranked a third. Noiselessly, the 20-ton door swung open. The first thing Kyle could see inside was a trickling fountain in the grand foyer of brilliant white marble. The fountain featured a life-size statue of Mr. Lemoncello standing on a lily pad in the middle of a shallow, reflecting pool 10 feet wide. His head was tilted back so water could spurt up from his mouth in an arc. Kyle noticed a quote chiseled into the statue's pedestal. Knowledge not shared remains unknown. Luigi L. Lemoncello. Behind the fountain, through an arched walkway, was a huge room filled with desks. When everybody had shuffled into the entrance hall, Dr. Zinchenko turned to the security guard. Clarence. Clarence hauled the heavy steel door shut. Kyle heard the whir of spinning wheels, the clink of grinding gears, and a reverberating clunk. "Wow," said Miguel. "Talk about a lock-in." "I'll be in the control center, Dr. Z," said the security guard. "Very well, Clarence." Clarence disappeared behind a red door. "Now then, children," said the librarian, "if you will all follow me into the rotunda reading room." As the rest of the group started filing into the gigantic circular room, Kyle checked out a display case beside the red door. A sign over it read, "Staff Picks, our most memorable reads." A dozen books were lined up on 4 shelves. One cover in the middle of the bottom row caught Kyle's eye. It showed a football player wearing a number 19 jersey dropping back to hurl a pass. Kyle made a mental note of the title. In the pocket, Johnny Unitas and me. Tomorrow morning, when the lock-in was over, he might use his library card to check it out for his big brother Mike. Wow. Everybody gasped as they stepped into the rotunda reading room and looked up. The entire underside of the dome looked like space as seen from the Hubble telescope. A dusty spiral nebula billowed up, a galaxy of stars twinkled, and meteorites whizzed across the ceiling. Ooh. The space imagery on the ceiling dissolved into 10 distinct panels, each one becoming a display of swirling graphics. "Those are the 10 categories of the Dewey Decimal System," whispered Miguel, sounding awestruck. "See the panel with Cleopatra, the guy mountain climbing, and the Viking ship sailing across it? That's for 900 to 999, history and geography." "Cool," said Kyle. Tucked beneath the 10 screens in arched niches across were incredible 3D statues glowing a ghostly green. "I believe those are holographic projections," said Andrew Peckelman, waving up at a statue that was waving down at him. The room under the dome was huge. It was circular, with a round desk at the center that was surrounded by 4 rings of reading desks. Kyle saw that half of the rotunda was filled with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. The other half had balconies on the 2nd and 3rd floors that reminded him of the open atrium of a hotel he and his family had stayed at once. While everybody was gawking at the architecture, Dr. Zinchenko said the words Kyle had been waiting to hear all day. "Now then, who's ready for our first game?" And that is the end of Chapter 11 and where we will stop for today. I hope that you have a great rest of your day and a good weekend. I will not be posting again until Monday, so come back then to see the next set. Alright, see you later.